don't say or bugger.
Hiya, it's that NUFC Fans Forum you all like so very much. I am joined by, as ever, Simon Gallagher. Say hello to the nice boys and girls, Simon.
Hello to the nice boys and girls, Simon.
And as part of our not entirely well thought through rotation policy, we are joined by Michael Sidgwick this week. Say hello to Michael Sidgwick.
Hello, I've only found out I'm doing this 2 minutes.
Yes.
We like to prepare.
Prepared. Tell them what your football top is.
This is Zanzibar.
Are we going to be getting any interesting Zanzibarian insight?
Honestly, until I found this t-shirt, I thought it was a fictional land.
Nice. We've got lots to get through this week, so without further ado, should we all conduct a small minute's silence for Freddy Shepherd? I'll do. Yeah, Freddy Shepherd's dead. That came out of nowhere. There were no really reports of him being unwell, were there?
He was a lot older than I thought he was, actually.
How old was it?
75.
75, yeah. That's it's a shame, isn't it? There's been an outpouring of emotion as there is with any death of any notable figure, but I think by and large the consensus is wasn't probably the greatest chairman, but he had ambition, he did good things, and we'd probably take him at the minute compared to what we've got.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's the Mike Ashley factor. It has made him look an awful lot better. At the time, we protested him out twice. He voted himself back on the board after that whole dogs issue.
Yes.
And there was hell on. But because he's not Mike Ashley, he's a golden god.
It's almost like it's not just not Mike Ashley. It's almost like the polar opposite of Mike Ashley. And that
Yes.
just ultimately failed because he catered to the wild impulses of the Newcastle fandom.
Of which he was one.
Yes.
Yeah, well, this is it. So heart's in the right place and all that.
What's he going to be remembered for?
Signing Albert Luque.
Unfortunately.
Good to start that. Yeah, good start.
Being like Michael says, being like wildly silly, but in tune with what most of the Gallagher.
How wildly silly we are as a football club.
Yeah, I think both of them. You look at them both, Ashley and Freddie. It's fair to say they're both idiots in their own way, but Freddie's idiocy was, I'm going to go and buy Michael Owen for £16 million, whereas Mike Ashley is, you should never buy anybody for £16 million.
Yeah, I think Shepherd's legacy will be greatly increased by virtue of what we're having to put up with now. But I think at the time we were all not happy to see the back of him, but I think we were like a bit relieved when he went because there was a lot of reckless spending going around. Would gain this reputation of being a football club who would chuck stupid money at terrible players. I mean, you brought up Albert Luque there, but he's not the only one. Boom Song. Any other notable names? Viana.
There's loads of them.
I've got time for Hugo.
Viana was a good.
Yes, but no. He's like my opinion of CM De Jong was that he was a great player based on nothing he did at Newcastle. Hugo Viana is the classiest footballer I've ever seen who was also shit for Newcastle. Yeah. Like, he was so much better.
Think about the Viana purchase is the kind of purchase we'll never get now because we fought off a load of other really top clubs to get him. He was young. He carried this huge, burgeoning reputation.
Yes,
was he
him and Ronaldo were
young
the two.
player of the UEFA Young Player of the Year?
Yeah.
You know, we went into a competitive market and paid over the odds for a player because we wanted to stamp our foot down and say, look, we can go and get these players. We're an ambitious football club. Same with Jenis. It was the same with Bramble as well. People forget. People were saying he was the next Sol Campbell. You just had to cut these mistakes out of his game and he'd be a brilliant centre-back. And we were right. Well, we'll have him then because we're an ambitious side. It showed ambition.
Quite like Bramble, me.
It's those crossfield balls.
We'll get onto that.
Exactly.
We'll get onto that another time.
He scored a scissor kick against Chelsea. The greatest skill I've ever seen by a centre-half, apart from Philippe Albert, but he doesn't count. He's an anomaly.
I think Glenn Roeder was more skilled than Titus Bramble. Did a step over that one time. But the hallmark of the Shepherd signing...
So did Mbemba last week.
He did, to be fair. The hallmark of the Shepherd signing, certainly in his here dear, before we're on the Souness level decline, was ambition, over the odds, young talent. We're a massive club. We should be getting these players. And Viana pretty much summed that up, I thought. If you look at that squad he assembled for Robson, Viana, Jenis, Bramble, Bellamy, Ambrose, Woodgate, players who were coming into their peak, unproven yet, but coming into their peak and carried these huge reputations. The kind of players you all buy on Football Manager.
Yes.
So, yeah, but again, it goes back to the thing that more of a fan, a competent management figure.
That's a shame. But he did assemble probably the most exciting squad we're ever likely to.
He did. Him and Sir John Hall are responsible basically for that whole Newcastle. Well, the Northeast is a footballing hotbed. Mm-hmm. That was never particularly true because we never had loads of youngsters who were dead good, but they wanted to feed that. They had that grand vision for a unified sports club where it was like the Falcons and the
Eagles
and the Jets, was it?
The hockey team's the Jets, isn't it?
Yeah.
Aye.
All under one roof.
The Barcelona
like
model, basically.
Yeah. And it didn't turn out particularly well, like Toys R Us as well. But they had these ambitions to make it like at the time when they came in, that whole Rob Lee story about Keegan had to lie to him about it being closer to London.
Under the Middlesbrough was
that whole mentality
That's
was
where
that
we were.
London is everything. Manchester is the second part. Liverpool maybe as well. Newcastle wasn't even on the map. All of the Northeast clubs owe those two men a lot.
Yeah, I think that's a fair
We
comment.
wouldn't have 50,000 fans. Sunderland wouldn't have 40,000 seats. Even Borough probably wouldn't have that many.
Oh, that's good. That's a good line, that. Yep. I mean, personally, though, how are you two going to remember him? Well, or...
I think I made a comment yesterday on Twitter that there was probably a lot
Not
of
like
honest conversations going on in private WhatsApp groups
Yeah.
about what people actually thought about Freddy
Yeah.
Shepherd. And they'll say that, like, fair play, we owe him a lot, but there's a but, and the but probably wasn't on Twitter. If you came out and said things about him yesterday, you got absolutely lambasted.
I didn't see any of that.
My mum, shout out Lillian Sidgwick, absolutely hated
It's on
him.
Twitter.
And she's honestly stopped following Newcastle United since for sacking Bobby Robson. So
Really?
obviously, she never followed them since that.
Wow.
And she loved them as well.
When you say she hasn't followed them, like, she got no idea what's going on at all. You could sit her down now and absolutely rock her mind. We've been down, got relegated twice.
She knows, like second hand, but it was never the same for her. Which again is ironic because he was meant to restore like sort of a bit of emotion in the club, but in fact there's at least one fan out there in shirt for her. He rid the club of its heart. So
Oh,
it's a shame
that is a shame. Knowing what you know, let's say Ashley's tenure ended tomorrow.
Yes.
Who did more for the club?
Sir John Hall.
No, but between Shepherd
Out of
and
them
Ashley.
two. Yeah, but one's a chairman, one's an owner. It's not the same, is it?
Ah,
I know that's a direct
Shepherd used to
comparison.
go on like an owner, even if he was only the chairman. He
Well,
was,
in terms of us as a fan base, neither of them did that much for the club in terms of silverware or.
no.
But
Oh, yeah,
I mean, technically, Ashley's delivered 2 trophies.
that's true. Yes, but Shepherd delivered an Intertoto Cup. So plate.
I can't stop looking at the latch on your microphone.
Because
It's going to go. Keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on that. That's going to go. Just want to give it.
I can't stop looking at the leopard print in that shirt. There can't have been
It's
any
Zanzibar,
others.
aye? Hummel.
Is it a cheetah though?
Is it a cheetah?
We've got the animal here.
It's your top.
Oh, it's a leopard. It's a leopard. I can tell.
I should know this. It's been wearing it for 5 years.
That's true as well, Hasn't taken it off once.
Hummel don't make bad shirts, do they?
That's a fact. No, look at the Denmark stuff. Anyway, moving on. We got beat. So it was a massive downer this week, all things told. Did we all see I can't remember who played now. Brighton game?
Bet you watched it in a better place than you. I just bet you.
Go on then.
Hooters in Prague.
You did.
I can't compete with that. Why did you watch it in Hooters in Prague?
Stag do.
I'm asking. I know why you did it. I'm just asking.
Oh, sorry,
to
it was
talk
a
about
TV
it.
moment.
It's called doing a link.
Sorry.
Go on.
Yeah, I was on Stag do in Prague.
Tell us about the jelly wrestling.
Right.
I don't know about this.
Oh, here we go.
The stag was the. So we can't swear on this, right? Okay.
I'd rather you didn't. I'll have to believe it.
Don't call the stag
What's
names.
a colourful synonym for vagina that I'm permitted to use?
Pussy.
I say pussy.
Right, okay.
Don't.
It's going to make it like erotic when really it wasn't.
Every
Fudge.
time, whisper it whenever you have to say it.
There's 2 strippers either side of the stag in a ring of jelly.
Hang on a second.
What kind of jelly?
Should his prospective wife
Was it bubbly?
not
So
watch?
It wasn't pure KY. Not that I know what that looks like. Don't need that. And anyway, so it's bubbly pink jelly. There was 2 strippers on either side of the stag, and I've been on this kind of thing. The whole point of the stripper is that they don't want to touch you at all, so they pretend they want to touch you.
Speak for yourself.
No. It's not my experience.
So basically, I just thought, all right, okay, they're going to lightly push him over here. No, they waterboarded him in the jelly, took a belt off someone, wrapped it around his neck, marched him around like a dog, and then the centrepiece of the entire thing, there's one stripper there, stag there, one of the strippers digitally stimulated, the others pussy, nice bit of oxymoron there, and then started slapping him.
He's got red. He's got red.
Suggested pussy.
And they just started slapping him in the face. And I tell you what, he had the time of his life, didn't he, Craig Thompson?
Now, another man who had the time of his life was Chris Hutton, who got his first win over his former employers.
Fantastic segue.
Pro. Got his first win over his former employers. It was always going to be a 1-0, wasn't it? That's how it looked.
Yeah.
Should we feel hard done by not getting out of that?
Not at all.
I feel I must apologise. Because I made it. I made it happen by banging on about Chris Hutton not being very good.
Yes, you did.
For several months.
Yes.
But I also have an excuse.
Oh, yeah. I say things.
He didn't mastermind that victory.
No, you're right. You're right. It was Alan Pardew who did it.
It was Alan Pardew.
That's who did it. It was
No,
Kevin Nolan.
It was nobody.
Who masterminded that? Who's responsible for Brighton's victory?
They had gigantic defenders. I've never seen men so large in my life.
Is that true?
They were huge.
You've had a stag too, haven't you?
Yeah, mine was completely different to that.
I thought they thoroughly deserved something out of the game. I think. Oh no, you haven't, have you? No.
Shane Duffy is a giant.
He is a big
giant
lad.
man, and he didn't even look that big compared to the other ones.
Dunk.
Dunk is a big lad.
Lewis Dunk.
And then their fullbacks were somebody else.
Bruno, that lad we didn't like from last season.
He murdered us last season.
He's good. He's an Ari player. I'll give him that. He's an Ari player.
We're conspired to beat ourselves as well.
I think we did struggle. I thought we had a lot of good chances in the first half, especially.
And ironically, we were better in the second half than we were in the first half.
I think that's arguable.
Brighton weren't as good as they were.
Yeah, the game. Once about an hour into that game, there's one goal in this. It's whether they get it or we get it. And then as it went on, we looked less and less likely of fashioning that chance. Jose Perez again ineffective. Hossley again missed a couple of chances.
But that's why you don't pay £5 million for a striker in today's market. Didn't
somebody say? In fact, Rafa say, yeah, if you buy a striker, he costs you £10 because £10 million because he's a striker, and he can, if he kicks the ball forward, he costs you 20 million.
Yeah, that's a fair
we
comment.
Paid
5 million. He kicks the ball.
The same man who said
kicks
that
the ball sideways.
bought somebody for 5 million.
I don't think he bought him. Certainly wouldn't have been his choice.
He rang him. According to Hosselu, Rafa rang him.
I've got nobody else.
That was an interesting impression.
Fantastic clue. We've not had you on yet, Sidgwick. Where do you stand on Hosselu?
It's just basically the worst thing about it is how fatalistic it is, because everyone knew his attributes and his disadvantages before signing for us, and they've just manifested.
Did we? Has he had enough game time that people really had him that well scouted?
What's happened is he stumbled exactly on it there, because we knew that Hosselu.
Pertinent.
Hosselu. What's
Hosselu?
Persilou isn't very good. There's nothing to suggest that he was a very good striker. He's shown flashes of like goodness at Newcastle, but that was Poole that we've told people to stop playing. Anyway, and then he scored a goal on his first appearance, and everybody's just went wild and started singing that song, which has become a meme.
We just want to be happy.
Yeah.
What's wrong with being happy?
Because inevitably you end up disappointed.
Yeah. He reverts to type after that, and it looks like he can't hit a cow's arse with a banjo.
I think you're all too down. I think he's been quite good. I think he's made good chances. Against Swansea game, 99 times out of 100, you score that header. That's a great save.
True, actually, that was a fantastic
I think he was unlucky with his chance. The only reason, people are going to be down on him for missing that chance in the 6-yard box, but he only got that chance because it's the ball stuck to him as he was turning 360 degrees.
He was under a lot of pressure. Actually, I don't think he's a terrible player. I know I've just made that point, but I don't. I think he's good, and I think he would be all right if he had a second striker to play off him. But you put Jose Perez behind anybody, and he doesn't do anything in terms of attack.
We've talked about Perez a lot, but I mean, we'll not get on to where we all stand on Perez again because we do it so many times. Where, crucially, do you stand on DeAndre Edlin?
On his leg?
On his leg, apparently, yeah. Well, he's not going to get away with it because they've charged him. I don't see how they've contested the charge. I don't get where have they got the grounds for that?
I've got absolutely no idea what's.
Is it because he's not looking at him the way Shelby? Because Shelby was looking at Dele Alli.
No, Shelby wasn't. Shelby looked at him and then pretended not to be looking at him and stood on him.
Subtle.
Yeah.
Not at all. Is he?
The problem for Tom Hedder is that him and Yedlin had a bit Barney-like 10 minutes before that. Or
Had they?
something. Yeah,
I've missed that.
They squared up to each other.
There's a good couple of pints in at that.
Yedlin told him quite obviously to.
Yeah, but incitement's not an excuse. We know that.
No, it isn't.
From
but
the Shelby thing, when he was getting grief for his alopecia, and then he responded with, probably went a little bit too far, I think.
Couscous.
And so yeah, couscous. So yeah, there's precedent for it. They're going to get screwed over for this, and deservedly so. It's dirty play from a dirty player.
Should we be worried? I'm not going to get into the individual performances because I can't be arsed, lads.
Yeah.
But should we be worried that 2 of our defeats have come at, the other 2 promoted sides, our quote-unquote relegation rivals?
I would say no, because if you can use past performance of any indication of future performance, Rafa's very brief last Premier League run followed that kind of run of form, because I had excellent performances against City and Liverpool, but then fell apart at Norwich. The same could be said about the same could be said about the Championship last season. We got complacent, like lost Ross against worse teams, and then went on a phenomenal Brighton, Huddersfield, Reading run.
Yeah.
So I've got faith in us for the big games. Actually.
Me too. I think our problem against smaller teams or less good teams on paper is that we're horribly inflexible. We shouldn't be playing the same way as we play against Tottenham, against Brighton.
That's true, but I don't. You look at the bench, and I don't really see what else. I mean, you could throw Murphy in and put Richie at number 10, but by and large, there's nobody there who's going to completely radicalise the way we change, except for
we should be playing 4-4-2.
Except for the returning Alexander Mitrovic.
Yes.
Would you play him against Liverpool? Look at this; they can't defend set pieces.
You could play any strikers against them and we'll probably score.
But this is true.
Might be one for Hosselu to get his confidence. Banging a hat-trick.
Banging a hat-trick against Liverpool.
Yeah.
But as a general point, I'm too scared, mate. I'm too scared. It's not worth the heart.
Liverpool?
Failure. No, Mitrovic.
Of Mitrovic.
He's just like every other game. There's a scandal.
No, that's not true.
Even when he doesn't get caught, he's still doing it. Like look at Wolves. How did he get away with that last season?
That was quite bad, admittedly, and the one he didn't get. Oh no, he did get retrospectively banned for against Stoke. Yeah, it's quite bad.
He's just a tilt. He's a risk.
He's only, was he 23, 24 now?
Which would be fine if he was an absolute maverick. Now, other than Wayne Rooney, I can't think of a single other player who's had the devil in him and just had it right. Okay, I can actually get over this and solve my mentality. If it's in you, it's usually in you for life. And Mitrovic is an absolute.
Tungan Ferguson, slightly.
Yeah, he got away with it.
But then he's still
Shearer?
every now and then he still started doing it.
Shearer?
Shearer was Raj
Shearer was a Raji.
all the way through.
Shearer's a mad bastard when you want it to be.
I believe he's like calculated with it. Like the Roy Keane thing, you can get someone sent off.
That was quite good.
He never threw rocks at trains.
No, and we
Let's
have
say it.
since learned that Mitrovic threw rocks at trains. So what? Right, Liverpool at home.
Yes.
You think we've got a better chance in those games than we do in these tricky away ties against teams like Brighton?
But
How
really
are you,
shouldn't. But
how
I
are you
think
setting
we
up? Is Lascelles coming back out for Lejeune?
Yeah. Because they're so woefully defensive. You want to get any attacking threat on the pitch.
Lejeune's just a big lad, and I think for set pieces he's probably more. But then again, you've
But
got
Lascelles-
Lascelles,
Is
someone
our
who's just
header?
scored from
Yeah.
2 corners.
Yeah.
It's our header error.
A header error.
No. Would you drop Clark for Lejeune?
I would potentially consider, depending on our Liverpool setup, moving Clark over to left back.
No. Why? I've seen 2 suggestions from most people in terms of these lineups for next week. One of them is drop Mbemba. The other one is drop Atsu. Both of them have been our best players for the past 2 games at least.
I agree with Mbemba in Atsu.
Mbemba did a step over in the box and absolutely showed up Brighton's
I think he
defence.
is Glenn Roeder.
Yeah, seamless. And he's better than Kieran Clark at left back, I think.
Yeah, he's done himself a world of good playing there. Right-footed centre back, taking people on and floating in crosses from left wing position. Good
So
on
why
him.
drop him? You've just said.
It's not about dropping players occasionally.
No,
it's
it's
about
about not dropping Kieran
rotating
Clark.
the system. It's also about not dropping Kieran
Yes, but
Clark.
Rafa doesn't rotate the system, does he?
He does. If he does
Not
anything,
the
he does
system,
that.
but the
Oh,
personnel
okay,
within
yeah.
the system.
Okay, Russ.
I
okay.
think that we'll start with the exact same team as we did.
Coming off a defeat? A lackluster
Yeah, because of the
defeat?
performance before that.
Okay.
That performance, the game before, is much more relevant to the Liverpool game than the Brighton game is.
Fair point. That is a
Yeah.
fair point.
The only thing that might change is that he drops out Hosselu because of his confidence issue. But I don't think Rafa would do that because it would fucking devastate his
Yeah, that's
confidence.
gonna
It
Right,
wouldn't
drive the point
fix it.
home, yeah.
No.
But then
Well,
how long can it go on?
I
Do you do tough love?
can Hosselu play number 10? Has anybody looked into that? Has he ever played there? He's continental, lads. He can probably play in a bit more of a footballing position.
Possibly.
Put him at number 10 and Mitro up front.
What about You've just missed Gale completely.
Well, he's been knackered. He played for the under-23s in the week.
If you think Hoslu's confidence gone, his is
He just didn't look
I'd
like
see
the
a
same
few
player,
people have
did
said different things to me. A few people have said when he came on, he changed the game for us and he made us far more
Shelby.
attacking. I didn't notice that at all.
He had one
Shelby
chance.
changed the game. It wasn't Gale.
Well, actually, maybe there's a bigger question then. Moving on from Gale.
Mm-hmm.
How would you fit Shelby into this? Because he did have an impact
Put
when he
Iosi
came on.
Perez in the bin.
And put Shelby at number 10?
No.
I would switch out
Play
Hayden. you know.
three midfielders. I wouldn't take out. Well, Hayden's actually his confidence has dropped slightly.
I think Hayden's
and
struggling
it's
with a
much
step
more
up.
likely.
He is because there's so many reckless fouls that he's thrown in because the pace is just overawing him at the minute.
I wouldn't overly criticise him. I do think when you look at his age and what he's got in his locker, I think he's got all the tools to be a success at this level, even this season.
That might be the most cliched sentence I've ever heard in my life.
Go on. What did I say?
That was like bingo football cliches. It's a game of two halves, lads. I want to thank God.
I didn't say any of that.
Disney World.
Was it
Not
wrong
American
though?
football.
Was it
He
wrong
said-
though?
I know. No, he
Was it
said
wrong though?
At his age, in his locker, he's got some tools. What's tools got to do with it?
It's metaphorical tools.
This is not that type of podcast. Anyway,
You're still reeling you
angry.
from that Chris Hughton
I
thing.
read everything.
Well, I'd still game of two halves, A to B. I'd still keep Hayden in. You know, gives us all. Loves wearing the shirt. I can't think of any more cliches.
You'll come up with some. Sick as a parrot.
He's got the potential to be a top player.
There we are. Top player.
Top player, as Paul Mason would say. I bet Paul Mason predicts that we beat Liverpool.
I bet he doesn't.
Just to be a knob.
I bet he doesn't.
No,
I tell you who won't predict that. Did you see last season? What's he called?
David Prudden.
Mark Lawrenson.
Oh, Lawrenson.
They did his predictions for the whole season, and not once did he predict Liverpool to lose.
Yeah.
Draws or wins the whole season.
My mate Mark Lawrenson.
Why's your mate?
I told you the story, man.
Well, you know, we might have new viewers
Did
now.
it? Oh, no, it was only last week. Just go back and watch it.
Links in the description.
It was about me getting the plane with him.
Oh, I remember that.
got
It was
grief.
good. Well, Sidgwick's not heard it.
He better have. That means he doesn't watch.
Well, I didn't get asked until
No.
2 minutes.
Oh, here we
before.
go. It's all about that, is it?
Aye. Professional.
Yeah, but that's Mark Lawrenson for you, isn't it?
Aye.
It's like Ian Wright calling Crystal Palace and Arsenal
Us. Yeah, I like that.
and England us.
Us. Yeah. Always like that Ian Wright thing. Where do you see the thing he put in the Sun? Any England
No.
player who turns down an international call-up should have to ring the parents of a dead serviceman and explain why he doesn't want to represent his country. Genuinely, that happened. That happened. Can you imagine? Oh, hello, it's Gareth Barry here. I just think my legs have gone. Oh no, not like that. No, sorry, I didn't mean to be insensitive.
That's
that was
the most close to the knuckle humour that's ever been on this.
Yeah, sorry about that. Well, we're gonna have to get
Apart from
edgier
what
now,
he
aren't we?
Said about that.
KY Jelly, digit up the pussy.
Yeah.
I'm going on lastminute.com when I get there. Prague.
Have we got anything else? We're going to beat Liverpool. Go in your head.
No.
Into the mic. And
No.
no. Are we going to beat Liverpool?
Yes.
Oh, I'm going to go for a draw, so one of us
I'm
will be right next week.
crazy.
I think we'll get something. If nothing else, thoroughly entertaining evening, and you'll get your nice posh grub.
Nice posh.
Nice posh grub
Let's
that you like
just
so much.
imagine for a second, right? The competition there's going to be for who loves Rafa more. It's going to be horrible.
That'd be nice. It's the first time we played Liverpool since he took. No, we got that draw.
Yeah, no, we played, but it's going to be like,
We love Rafa more.
yeah.
That's good because there's been some ridiculous booing of previous players this season. Like Lukaku, for example.
Yeah.
He did loads for them, man.
Banter, innit?
I was going to say he didn't play for us. Have I missed some sort of?
I think I would like us to win purely for the Liverpool fan meltdown, because if they just got beaten off newly promoted side managed by Rafa Benitez, the impending
Yeah, it'd be fantastic.
catastrophe for them
It
would be
would
brilliant,
Fantastic.
especially in this.
Klopp's interview would be hilarious as well. I couldn't wait for it. I can't wait.
Can't wait for it. Well, we can't wait for the game, and we can't wait to see you again next time. See, lads, that's how you do. A link.
I'm sure that was something else.
Probably.
He's absolutely knackered all day.
I know
Yeah.
he does this. Anything?
I'm just trying to cover all bases.
Maybe if you didn't tell us how good the link was, we wouldn't take offence to it. Just a little bit of advice going forward.
20 minutes you've been on this.
Sorry.
You can come back.
I wouldn't get attached. We'll start doing me and Andy Murray, then you can do one with him. Actually, yours will be better. I don't want to talk about it. Right, thank you very much for joining us on the UFC Fans Forum. Thank you for sticking with us in these bereaved times. That's salient and
Pertinent.
relevant. That's it.
And pertinent.
I've been Adam, as ever. You can get me at Adam Cleary on Twitter. You get at Cy Gallagher.
At M Sidgwick. You'll not spell it right, so there's no point.
What? Spell it out for them.
MSIDGWICK.
There we go.
I'm actually worried.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We will see you
Yes.
next week after the Liverpool game. Bye.
See you later, guys.
Bye. How are the lads, etc.
Draw.
Still got to edit these.
Have you got to do both?
Yeah. Enjoy that, Michael.
Yeah, I thought it was alright actually.
Good.